think the first step of inclusiveness is to really understand that particular group that we are trying to serve or we're trying to help. Before I started this panel, I have been talking to these three amazing panelists, and they have shared a lot of stories about the groups that they're serving. And without further ado, I would like to invite Shalini to share about her amazing work at the Zubin Foundation on how to really empower the underprivileged and the ethnic minority crowds in Hong Kong. Shalini, please.
Thank you, Arnold, and welcome to all of you. For those of you not from Hong Kong, a very warm welcome to Hong Kong. So I have to say that one of the terms I most despise is ethnic minority. And that is because I feel like a Hong Konger. So by using that terminology, ethnic minority, you and the community is already pigeonholing me into being different. And so I haven't come up with a better terminology outside of Hong Konger. And I urge people now to use the term Hong Kong ethnic minorities instead of just ethnic minorities, because otherwise we seem like we're aliens from a different planet descended on Hong Kong when we're just Hong Kong people with a different skin color. So I'm an ethnic minority, and I have spent my whole life in Hong Kong. My family has been in Hong Kong since 1911. So I feel a right and a responsibility for this place called Hong Kong. I have spent most of my life in Hong Kong. I think I'm a little bit of a serial social entrepreneur. I set up my first NGO. I'm an accountant and a banker. And I set up my first enterprise in 2002 called Community Business, working with some of the world's largest companies on diversity and inclusion. And now I chair the Zubin Foundation, and in a moment I'll tell you a little bit about that. But before I do that, let me just give you an understanding of the ethnic minority community of Hong Kong. This population is only 3% of Hong Kong. Many people think Hong Kong is very international, but actually we really are not. Only 3% of the population are people like me, Hong Kong people who are not Chinese. 2% of the population are foreign domestic helpers, mostly Indonesians and Filipinos, and they do not have the legal right to live and work in Hong Kong after their 2-year employment contract, unless they get another 2-year employment contract. I'm not talking about the foreign domestic helpers when I speak. I am talking about that 3% that I belong to. Now, this 3% has become a focus of the Hong Kong government recently. Why do they care about people like me? Well, I'd like to think they have a heart, and I'm a part of the community, and I think that is true, and that plays a big role. But there is an economic incentive to working and talking about ethnic minorities today. One, we are consumers, but more important than that, we have babies. Most ethnic minority families have between 4 and 6 children. Most Hong Kong Chinese families have 0 to 1.7. So there is a huge difference between the ethnic minorities and the Chinese population, the Hong Kong Chinese population, because the ethnic minority population is a future talent pool for Hong Kong. And this is particularly important as we have an elderly population. So a little bit about, oops, okay, sorry, I'm not very good at technology. So what I'm going to do is share with you some work that the Zubin Foundation has done recently, and I'm going to call it Hong Kong Plus, because I believe the Hong Kong ethnic minorities add to Hong Kong. We do not subtract from Hong Kong. And so if you read some lapsop newspapers, then you will learn the opposite. You will see ethnic minorities as a negative, but actually we are a positive. We are the indigenous international Hong Kong people. Now, the Zubin Foundation is a think tank, and it is a charity. And let me talk just briefly about 3 things we do. The first thing that we do is we provide visibility to this community. The ethnic minority is amongst the poorest population. 1 in 4 families live in poverty. What does that mean? It means that a family survives on less than $15,000 a month. And that is quite difficult to survive on in Hong Kong, 15,000 Hong Kong dollars per month. So one of the things I thought as an ethnic minority myself is I want to shine the light on this community. And I want to shine the light in the most positive way. So we created something called Diversity List on visibility. And it is a list of fabulous ethnic minorities, doctors, lawyers, social workers, teachers, businessmen, and businesswomen. And we put that list together every year, and we give it to Mrs. Carrie Lam or Mr. Matthew Chang. We give it to the top levels of government. Why do we do that? Well, because we think it's very important that the Hong Kong government understands that there are very smart ethnic minorities who can serve on government committees. Because imagine if we had all government committees in Hong Kong just made up of men. It would be a real problem because the issues and the needs of women would not be considered. And so in the same way, we need the needs of ethnic minorities to be considered in the education committees, the Human Strategy Committee, the Children's Commission, etc. So the diversity list is something innovative that we decided to do. The second thing we've decided to do, which is innovative, is call mirror. When we were doing kindergarten research in going into ethnic minority homes to find out about their special education needs children and their kindergarten-aged children, we found that lots of women were being abused. And this was not what we were looking for, but we found it, and we had to confront this. And so we set up a helpline in Hindi and Urdu and English to understand and take calls from women in these communities. The third thing that is quite innovative is Opportunity Bank. We, in 2019, will be hosting a platform for ethnic minorities with jobs, internship opportunities, scholarship opportunities, education opportunities given by the private sector, and we will host them. And ethnic minorities will be invited to come and take those opportunities. But as we talk about ethnic minorities, one of the things I would like to say is that it's really important to listen to the community and not to assume we know the community. Even though I'm an ethnic minority myself and I live and breathe as an ethnic minority female, I cannot speak for the whole population because that population is diverse. So when you say ethnic minorities, you are actually putting many people in one category. It is like saying the Chinese and the Japanese and the Koreans are all the same. That's nonsense. The ethnic minority Hong Kong Indians, the ethnic minority Hong Kong Pakistanis, the Hong Kong ethnic minority Nepalese, we are all different. How would you like it if I said the Chinese and the Japanese, like I said, are exactly the same? It's nonsense. It doesn't make any sense. So we recently looked at ethnic minority youth. And this is a very important population because it is a growing population. And we looked at the poorest youth in the Hong Kong ethnic minority community. This is the profile of the youth, 53% female, mostly Pakistanis, which in my opinion is a very good thing to include. And I'm glad they were the biggest cohort because actually the Pakistani community is amongst the poorest in Hong Kong. 71% of this population that we covered had an income of $20,000 or less per household. The average household size was 4.74. This is much bigger than an average Hong Kong Chinese family of 1.69. And these are the residential districts. So I want to just share with you the findings. What did these 253 ethnic minority youth tell us? One, and I think this is very important, often the local press makes us out to be very Hindu, that we worship strange gods, that we worship a god that might be different from the god in the mainstream in Hong Kong. But look at this finding, 30% of our ethnic minority youth are Christians. Did you know that? 64% of all our ethnic minority youth are born in Hong Kong. So please don't ask an ethnic minority youth, where are you from? They're from Hong Kong. 你喺邊度？你係邊度人？我係香港人。Don't ask me again, I've already told you. Right? So in fact, when I go to 7-Eleven, now I try not to speak Cantonese because they're going to ask me where I'm from. So I speak English and I ask him, 你係邊度人？我係香港人真係啊. Because I want him to think I'm surprised, right? So 64% are born in Hong Kong. So stop asking me where I'm from. 84% of ethnic minorities are happy. Most of the time you depict us as so poor and so involved in crime, we're so unhappy. Actually, we're just regular people and most of us are quite happy. When we ask ethnic minorities, what do you believe is the greatest opportunity for you in Hong Kong? Most of them say the greatest opportunity is access to education. And this is really important, and Hong Kong should feel very proud that we have 14 years of free education. Was it 9 years? It's 12 years. I got that completely wrong. More than half of our ethnic minorities say their major barrier is language. But it's not speaking Cantonese mostly. It is reading and writing Chinese that is the problem. The second greatest barrier is discrimination. So we asked the ethnic minorities, if you don't want to be called an ethnic minority of Hong Kong, what do you want to be called? Most of them said, 89% said, please call us something else, something more positive. What is very upsetting, but I understand it, is 43% of ethnic minority youth want to leave Hong Kong because of language and because of discrimination. But we should do everything possible to keep them. Partly because over 1/5 of them, in 10 years' time, they think they will have families with children. This is much more than the Hong Kong Chinese population, many of whom don't want children. They have career aspirations. They're not dumb or stupid or lazy, and they have career aspirations like everyone else. They are also racist. So ethnic minorities also don't like ethnic minorities. Like some Chinese don't like other Chinese, right? Or like some Chinese don't like people from other countries. They also have their own views. And so when you put them under one umbrella, they think, I'm not the same as them. But who do they think, when you ask all the ethnic minorities and you look at their responses, who is at the bottom? They like the Chinese the least. Then the white people. This is something I found extraordinarily insightful. The Indonesians, the Pakistanis, the Indians, the Africans, the Filipinos, and the Thais. And if you want to ask me in the Q&A the types of words they used to describe these populations, I'm very happy to tell you. So we have put some recommendations to the government about how we believe the government and others needs to improve the lives of ethnic minorities. I just want to share 2 recommendations because otherwise my time is already out. I think the first thing we have to do is teach school teachers, teach school principals about cultural sensitivity. My daughter went to a Chinese school. At the age of 5, she was told by a teacher, they went around the class, they were talking about where is everybody from. Everybody in my daughter's class was Chinese. My daughter is not Chinese. My daughter said, I'm from Hong Kong. The teacher refused to accept that as an answer and said, you're not from Hong Kong. Where are you originally from? And she spoke, my daughter speaks fluent Putonghua. She said, I'm from Hong Kong. My mummy and daddy are from Hong Kong. My pawpaw was born in Hong Kong. The teacher said, no, but look at the color of your skin. You are not from Hong Kong. You must be from India. So at the age of 5, my daughter came home with a different identity that me and my husband had worked hard for. We had told her she was a Hong Kongian. And a teacher in one class had erased that. So it's really important that the language we use and the way we talk about ethnic minorities, not like we're some sort of circus trick. You know, sometimes when the media portrays us, we always wear, these big, very nice ethnic clothes, and we do these funny things. But actually, we're not circus tricks. We're just people. Sometimes I wear Indian outfits. Sometimes I wear cheongsam. Sometimes I go to a church. Sometimes I go to a temple. I'm just a regular Hong Kong person. So we think we need schools to understand this. The other thing we've asked is we want the government to start making ethnic minorities visible. So in all the advertisements, on the MTR, there are 0 ethnic minorities. Where are we? Are we invisible? So the new terminology, like I said, is a plus identity. We all add to Hong Kong. We don't subtract to Hong Kong. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Shalini, for giving a really, really good overview of the Hong Kong non-Chinese communities. And I think, ultimately, Hong Kong, we're predominantly Chinese. I think having acceptance is just the first step. Understanding their concerns, understanding the community is the second step. And I think the second speaker of today, it's very interesting, because he himself founded a social enterprise that can really help the mainstream Hong Kong people to really understand what's going on in terms of how to understand the non-Chinese communities. And I think that's very important. And I've watched a lot of his videos. A lot of my friends joined their program, and I think it's a really interesting social enterprise. And now may I invite Bosco to introduce We Do Global.
So thank you, Arnold, for your introduction, and thank you, Shalini, for your insightful sharing. So, same as Shalini, I'm a Hong Konger, but differently would be I am ethnic majority Hong Konger. But in fact, I was also an ethnic minority in some programs that I participated when I was studying in university. So in this program, I was representing Hong Kong to attend and to participate in a peace building and multicultural program in Canada for 3 months back in 2009. And that was my first time actually to meet and to have the opportunity to meet great leaders from different countries. So as you could see, I was the youngest among all. And as you could see, most of the participants were from developing countries, like in South Asia, in South America, in Africa, in different parts of the world. So why we were there? Basically, at that time, we had a mission. So we had to think of how we can educate our culture to Canadian children. So to eliminate some of the discrimination barriers due to misunderstanding or due to perceptions. So it was very interesting experience for me because I was eye-opening experience that I had to think of how I could introduce Hong Kong culture, but putting into, like interesting activities, games, rather than just, telling and sharing. And it took like 3 months. And in that, I met a lot of great people, and they taught me a lot of good things, especially one of my best friend, who is called Frank from Sri Lanka. You can see him at the back with the white shirt. So he's a survivor from the 2004 South Asian tsunami. And he told me his experience, that he had to walk across all the dead bodies to find his parents and to find his personal belongings. But of course, he couldn't find it because he lost his parents and all his belongings. And that was really shocking experience for him and for me as well, because as a Hong Konger, the biggest issue would be failing in exams, or low GPA, something about, like academic in my whole life at that time. But I never imagined there would be some kind of disaster that could take our life away. So in that experience, Frank was inspired to do a lot more to contribute to the community and society, because after that experience, he noticed that the richest man in his village was sitting next to him to beg after the tsunami. And he said before the tsunami, nobody could enter close to his house because of the high security. All people were sent out. But after that, same. It took just 1 second. Everything's gone. So it also inspired me, like why we work so hard for only money. Anything else that we can work hard and we can gain in our life besides valuable things. So back in Hong Kong, I found something interesting, that I started to meet a lot of people from different ethnic backgrounds. And I echo what Shalini mentioned, as you could see the growth rates of especially South Asians increased significantly by 71% over the past 10 years, where average growth rates of Hong Kongers, do you know how many percent average? You can guess. In fact, 71% South Asians, right? Average would be 10 times less. So which means the growth rate of South Asians is 10 times faster than the local Chinese, because, as mentioned, usually they have a big family, more children, but for average Hong Kong Chinese, we have less. So rapid increase in population, and they are the future workforce. But in all the media that we find, and when we talk with the people, we usually find it rather negative that people perceive about South Asians, maybe because of the mass media or because of family education, that we find, very interestingly, that many Chinese also maybe disliking the South Asian counterparts in Hong Kong. Just like just now the data, the South Asian kids, they don't like the Chinese. They like them the least. So we were thinking, what can we do together? So that's why our organization's name is We Do, because we together. Why blue color? Is because we are all under the same sky. So we should not distinguish ourselves because of our skin color or languages or religious background. And we do it together. Why the do is, not that clear, is a reflection, because we are doing something about culture. So it's not very, very physical or not very obvious, but you can feel it. So this is something that we would like to do together. And it's about global education. We want to put it more bigger, rather than just focus on the term ethnic minority, which is very narrow concept. But everybody in Hong Kong should understand people from different places, from different backgrounds. Even though we are all Hong Kongers, but we have different cultural practices, or we have similarities, but we have differences as well. So what We Do Global is doing is to provide free training programs for Hong Kong ethnic minority youth so that they can have employment opportunities in We Do Global as well as in other places that we partner with companies and corporations. And we do drop referrals as well. On the other hand, we organize multicultural team building, training workshop, CSR programs, as well as education programs to organizations like schools and companies. So we generate income to support our training program, as well as we can gain exposure through volunteers and media exposure so that we can do it in a bigger scale. On the same level, we are trying to expand the network, the social network of ethnic minorities in Hong Kong so that they can have more counterparts who are Chinese friends, but not just their own communities. For Chinese also, they have more ethnic minority or South Asian friends, or even friends from different cultural backgrounds. And we co-create the programs together. So what we found out is, after the program, we found interestingly that the understanding towards the self-cultural identity and the Chinese culture has increased, which means before joining us, they are quite confused whether they are Hong Kong Chinese or they are Hong Kong non-Chinese, who they are. But after the program, they started to be aware that they are Hong Kong Pakistani or Hong Kong Nepalese, Hong Kong Indian. They have dual identity, which is their strength, but not weakness. But before that, they thought it's kind of weaknesses. And on the other hand, we have increased the cultural awareness and sensitivity in workplace, as well as the sense of belongings to the companies. And we decreased the perception and discrimination towards ethnic minorities. So which you also heard of from Shalini about the discrimination issue, which is the biggest hurdle and barrier for ethnic minorities in Hong Kong. So what we are doing, basically, I would start talking about the first is about youth. Youth engagement, development, and empowerment. Why youth is so important is because we cannot always build the future for our youth, but we can build our youth for the future. So are we looking for a more divided future? Or even nowadays, we can feel a very divided society, not in Hong Kong, but maybe somewhere else in the world. Or we can build a more inclusive future and society, a more violent future, or a more peaceful future. I think everybody should know the right answer, right? So that's why we are taking action to actually involve our youths from Hong Kong or from different backgrounds to get together. Not just a particular ethnic, not just targeting Chinese or not just targeting non-Chinese, but both. To understand more about the people in the community and even the communities where they are from or they are not from, as you could see, right? 天后古廟, but a group of Chinese and non-Chinese, they went to understand about the places that they are living. And yearly we connect more than 5,000 participants. We are talking about direct interaction, excluding those ripple effects, because we nurture our youth and then they also went back to their schools to share. So we exclude that, only direct impacts. But those would be counting from few hours, 2.5 hours up, until 10 months program. So we have short-term program, which is like a few hours, and we have more in-depth program, which takes around 10 months. And more than 10 ethnic backgrounds and more than 6 religious backgrounds, locally and globally, mainly in Asia, in the communities. And what we are doing with them, so we try to change their mindset from just me to become we. So they are becoming the cultural ambassadors, as you can see, to share their cultures, to bring us to understand more about their communities. And they also bring themselves out to understand more about the communities. So these are two ways. So it's all about cultural ambassador program that you can see. We are not making ourselves the teachers, but they are the teachers. So they also share with not only children, not only ethnic background Chinese or the company staff, but they are also sharing with very, very young children. What they're writing is writing their language, so that they know how hard it is to learn a new language, how hard it is for non-Chinese to learn Chinese, and what's the difference. For example, Urdu is from right to left writing, but for Chinese it's now left to right. And it's more complicated when you are learning a new language, but it's hard sometimes when you tell them. But if they experience, then they know how hard it is. Sometimes for the Hong Kong ethnic minorities, they have to learn more than 5 to 6 languages because of their different cultural backgrounds, plus the Cantonese, Mandarin, English that they have to master. And we also have corporate programs because we believe the companies, they can hire more ethnic minorities. They can be more visible. And because the poverty rate, especially for Pakistan, is really, really high, which is 56.5%, which means every 2 Pakistani in Hong Kong, 1 would be in poverty. In average, poverty rate in Hong Kong is around 20%. So it's much higher, more than double. And we also have some innovative programs. This is about a drama which they act out themselves, their own stories. So they are also the actors. And then they have to act it not in their own language, but in Cantonese. Why? It's because we want more people in Hong Kong to understand their situation in terms of education, in terms of finding jobs, in terms of looking for support in hospital sometimes, that they are facing discrimination. So sometimes we don't really know about their situation, but this is a platform that we can understand. And I'm not going into details about the sharing of our cultural ambassadors, but very interestingly, we have a lot of female youth to become our cultural ambassadors because they can see that they can be the role models in their community. And then it's very interesting because they said in the community, women are having less opportunity to come out to work, and maybe people from outside would think that, oh, why you are coming out to work? It's not really good. But after this community work, they think that, wow, we are breaking the stereotype. We are breaking the barriers. We can be the role models, not just one, but we have few. We have more. And they can speak Cantonese. Before, they didn't use a lot of Cantonese to speak because they are sticking with their community. But with the program that we offer, that they are being the cultural ambassadors and then they are the tour guides to guide the Chinese people to their communities, they have to use more Cantonese so that they improve a lot of their Cantonese because they practice it every day. Even now, we are running a program and tour in Yuen Long area. Our cultural ambassadors are right there to run. So every day, every week, every month, we have program like this, actually to inspire the people to look at their counterparts in the same community that we are living. And what's very surprising is, before the program, we can see if you can understand the Chinese. If not, we have English. They are not friendly for the Chinese participants, that they think that ethnic minorities, South Asians, they are not friendly. They're unconcerned, mysterious, unfamiliar. They don't like Hong Kong people, Chinese. Maybe it's a bit true. And then they don't know Chinese, live in their own group, and have low sense of belongings. So this is what they perceive before joining the program. So after a few hours program, wow, totally changed. They become thinking that, wow, they are enthusiastic, very nice. It's actually the same person that we're talking about. After the program, from low sense of belongings becomes, oh, they want to integrate in Hong Kong, but still face difficulties. They understand more about they're facing difficulties, but not just saying that, you know, they have low sense of belongings. Or, for example, they are the same as us, and we should not look at them strangely. Or we should not ask them where they are from every day. Friendly and enthusiastic. So we can see a lot of changes, actually. So I would like to share a quick video, a very short one. It's actually taken by the school and the school student. It's not we take, but the school took it. So we can open the speaker so that the audience can listen. Yeah. Is it working for the sound?
所以我
Can
覺
we
得
start
好
again?
驚，我唔想去嗰度。覺得
Okay, so
我
let's
去
see.
之前咧就覺得佢哋好黑啦，同埋覺得佢哋成日都冇笑容，成日都好惡噶啦。但係我去之後就覺得佢哋好善良，同埋成日都帶住佢嘅笑容。我去之前咧覺得佢哋好恐怖啦，好核突啦個樣，好似黑社會啦，所以我覺得好驚，我唔想去嗰度。撈尾咧去完之後，我發現咧原來佢哋都唔係太驚，而且佢哋好善良，又送嘢食俾我哋食嘅。
So they're really cute, right? So this is not just one person, but a lot of Chinese people, they have the thinking like this. So after actually the direct interaction, things changed. The perception, all the bad behaviors, suddenly they figure out, wow, not every one of them are like this. There are good people out there and there are bad people. So we should not perceive an ethnic in a negative way. So it's really interesting. Just a few hours program, we can have that big change. And it's even encouraging that the teacher sent us back the video, but not we took the video. It's just so interesting. And for company engagement, we also would like to find a way out for our cultural ambassadors because we don't expect them to be the cultural tour guides for 20, 30, 50 years, right? We hope them to be visible in different places. So that's why we work together hand in hand with different companies. And for more details, I encourage you to look at the book that written by my co-founder Eva, and you can collect it outside as well. This is the book that we mentioned about our collaboration with different companies. And there are some data and photos inside, which maybe I don't have much time to highlight here. So I will just quickly talk a bit that we use the model Donald Kirkpatrick model to capture our social impacts, especially to see the pre and post differences, and also the awareness building, behavioral change, as well as the results of our cooperations with the companies, as well as the follow-up volunteering programs with DBS and with HABN. So it's interesting to see that the general understanding before joining the program would be around 3 to 5 in average, but after the program would be around 6 to 8, which we find it 84.4% increase in understanding that they have after joining the program about ethnic minorities this term in Hong Kong and about their living and about their cultures. And at the end, starting from this year, my co-founder is involved in a lot of government advisory committees, including the Commission on Poverty, Social Enterprise Advisory Committee, as well as Social Welfare Committee. So we can have the opportunity and channel to share our work in the communities with the government. So this is pretty new about advocacy, which we can learn more from the Sugan Foundation, definitely. And we are looking for more collaboration as well with different partners. So this is basically what our organization is focusing on. And this is the end of my sharing. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Shalini and Bosco's sharing. I think at least it made me reflect a lot in terms of how we are, as Hong Konger, are treating non-Chinese in Hong Kong. And I think I've read something about like Chinese, this is gonna be a very racist comment, like Chinese as a race, in general, we are very racist. I'm not sure whether you guys agree or not, but a lot of people say that. And I want to prompt you guys with a question before we move on. I want to ask you guys, especially those who are living in Hong Kong, how many of you actually have a non-Chinese as one of your closest friends, like whom you would talk to at least once per month? So it's only fewer than 10 in the room. Okay, I need to make this question more inclusive. For the non-Chinese ones, how many of you have a local Hong Kong Chinese as your closest friend, whom you talk to at least once per month? So you see, my comment is correct. Like Hong Kong people are more, like the Chinese people are more kind of less inclusive. And I think like the previous speakers have mentioned, I think understanding is very important before we really care about and advocate for the community. And I encourage you, every one of you, to really make friends with people who are of a different color, who are not from an ethnic background. And I think that will make Hong Kong a more inclusive Hong Kong, make Hong Kong a better place. And now we would like to shift gears a little bit, because when we talk about inclusive society, we not only talk about people of different ethnic backgrounds, we also talk about able and disabled, and we also talk about how we could make Hong Kong a more barrier-free Hong Kong. Now, may I invite Mr. Peter Zhang, who is traveling very far from Guangzhou. His organization is promoting barrier-free tourism. Hong Kong people like to travel, and tourism is a huge part of our daily living, and how we can make tourism more inclusive is something that I care deeply about. Peter is going to present in Putonghua. If any one of you needs translation, please raise your hand. Our staff will help you with that. Okay, now may I pass the stage to Peter.
大家下午好，我是 Peter， 然后首先其实我要抱歉一下，因为我的同事他因为家里有事情，所以呢就要晚上才能赶过来，所以我今天是代表我的同事，然后来介绍一下知更鸟无障碍出行旅行社，然后我的中文名是张健。对，然后我是知更鸟的传播官，然后我其实加入知更鸟有1年半的时间了，然后在加入知更鸟之前，我是很喜欢旅游的然后也是坐着轮椅参加了64场马拉松，然后呢就是一点点去坚持，然后完成42公里这样的一个长距离。然后我也很喜欢扎达马拉松，对然后其实虽然大家看到，然后我的跑鞋是轮椅，然后轮椅让我失去了很多选择，这是一个事实，但是它无法限制我去追求多元化，然后去探索融合的这样一个世界。其实这是知更鸟，其实在创立之初我是最早加入的，然后也是1年半的时间，非常年轻的这样一个团队。然后在创立的时候，我们也受到了一些质疑，就是说说你想钱想疯了吗？然后残障人士的钱你也想赚。还有一种声音就是说你又不是残障人士，因为海底他是一个不需要坐轮椅用辅具的这样一个相对来说健全的人，然后你怎么去带残障人士去旅游？第3个就是说你是想帮忙给残疾人脱贫，而不是说去拿钱去让他们去旅游所以以上的话就是来自一些外界的对知更鸟这样创立的初衷的这样一个质疑。我们是谁？我介绍一下知更鸟。其实我们刚才也说了，我们知更鸟无障碍出行旅行社创立的时间是在2017年的7月份，然后是作为在中国是第1家在旅游局正式注册的这样一个旅行社。我们的服务对象是身体不方便的人士，包括肢体不方便、眼睛不方便、听力不方便，然后还有一些长者然后这些人群是我们比较垂直的客户。其实我们也是做融合旅游，也欢迎就是不需要无障碍设备设施的人可以跟我们一起旅游，这样其实是一种非常好的一个渠道，去培养他的同理心，换位思考。就是如果我坐在轮椅上我会怎么样？如果我听不到会怎么样？如果我看不见？所以我们觉得这个是一个非常有意义的事情，而且是能给别人带来快乐的事情。所以虽然我们创立的时间很短，然后也遇到了特别多的困难，但是我们坚信会把它越做越好。而且我们现在也有一定的 口碑，有一定的知名度。因为我们的发现我们的团的回头客还是蛮多的，大概有35%到40%这个比例。我们这是我们的办公室，然后这边这位漂亮的女士就是我的同事邐女士，然后这是我们的办公室的一角然后我们的愿景就是创造一个全球无障碍的出行的环境，然后这些是我们的小伙伴，然后后面那个是一个强化，然后呢就是有很恐怖的森林，还有怪兽。然后有一只可爱的小鸟，那就是知更鸟，然后它在那里面朝大海，春暖花开这样的一个愿景。而且我们其实在选择办公室的时候也遇到了一些困难，因为不是所有的办公的大楼都会有无障碍洗手间、无障碍斜坡。我们光找这个办公室就用了2个月的时间，我们要one by one去找很多的地方。最后我们才选择了一个那个物业还是香港这边的物业，所以它的无障碍做的还是蛮不错，所以我们最后找到了一个合适的一个知更鸟的窝这样一个 office 去工作，而且离那个地铁是非常近，然后也有无障碍的出口所以因为我们也会有客户过来拜访，然后我们也会有一些活动，包括本身知更鸟团队是有大概是40%这样的比例的一些残障员工我是其中一位，我还有同事是需要带一个义肢去行走，他不需要轮椅，然后也有拄拐杖的。对，后面我们希望有一些更多的，比如说像一些他可能是就是说上肢不方便或之类的，我们可以让他做前台的一些职位，然后我们现在也在不停的就是招募新的一些伙伴因为我们的线路会越来越多。目前的话是国内跟国外我们做全球的无障碍旅游，然后目前的话是有20条无障碍的这样的线路。香港我们有做迪士尼乐园的这样一个无障碍旅游，对对，还是蛮受欢迎的，因为它里面的设计也是蛮人性化。其实我觉得每个人都需要旅游然后旅游也是一种治愈方式，我觉得它可以让你的身心更开心，然后你更开心了，你才能去做其他的事情面对生活的一些挑战或者是一些生活一些枯燥的一些事情。其实我快了一点。其实我想问个问题，大家知道我们中国大概有多少的残障人士吗？就是各种类型的残障totally。有大概知道的吗？其实是一个非常大的一个数字，8700万，而且是不完全统计，还有一些是没有去政府 government 去登记的那么都有，就是说13个人里面有1个人是身体有些不方便的。那么现在国内还有就是老年人士，就是长者，大概现在有快接近2个亿了。所以是我觉得无障碍它其实是一个非常泛的范围，很多推婴儿车的父母，然后很多包括商务人士出差拿着大行李，其实如果有无障碍斜坡、无障碍电梯，可以共享。如果是楼梯，其实他们搬起来也会非常累。其实这些都是非常友善、通用的，这样已经很多一些欧美国家，它不叫无障碍设施，它叫通用设计，对，通用设施了。是一个非常大的。然后我大概说一下，这个是我们在国内经常看到的一些无障碍的设施，是非常的奇葩。对对，它只是说一个表面的样子我有我不是没有然后其实我特别想说设计的人或者是政府的官员，你来坐着轮椅你来用一用好不好？对对，我是特别是想让他去体验一下。还有就是我之前就是说去旅游，我也去普通的旅行社去报名，但是我得到的反馈是非常不友善。然后其实我也是给一样的 money 一样的钱，对，没有少给但是他们会say no， 他们会觉得你好像跟我不一样 你是一个坐轮椅的人，你是一个特别的少数，但其实他没有看到我身后有多么大的一个社群，有多少小伙伴，所以就会被拒绝。所以这是一个，我觉得人之初性本善，但是可能他是对我们，或者是对一些他不太了解的一些社群、一些人，他会有一些偏见，但是他可能只是说他的无知，而不是说他本来的发自内心的可能就有一些歧视。对。我们其实在创立这个无障碍旅行社的时候是遇到了很多的困难，然后比如说在我们的这个宣传上，还有在我们的一些团线的这个策划上面，其实我们是需要提前去踩点，然后我们先自己走一遍，把非常合适的线路，然后非常友善的，我们把它全部选好，然后把它做出来，然后再带一些眼睛不方便的，或者是坐轮椅的人士、长者，然后再去开心的去旅游，去看这个世界。其实这句话其实是残疾人公约里面的一句话就是 Nothing about us without us， 就是没有我们的参与就不要替我们去做决定。所以其实包括那个无障碍的之前那个设计，我相信肯定是一个他不需要无障碍设施的人，他是凭空的或者是他去想象的去做完全是非常的不 nice， 然后也是不友善的这样一个设计，而且是非常浪费。他设计了不能用，然后他的钱又花了，是非常的浪费。这是我们去旅游，对，然后这是我们的团友然后其实我们这样出来回头率会非常高的，然后让大家很多人，包括商家，包括一些服务的机构包括一些政府能看到我们的身影。其实被看见，你才能去了解，然后才能去知道他们的需求，他们的这个出行的这个障碍有多么的多这些。这是我们去泰国，对，然后很多人其实他可能觉得我一辈子都不能出国，然后我不方便，我只能待在家里面。但是当我们参加了我们的团，我们带他出国虽然不是很远泰国，但是他会觉得特别的开心。他说比他30多年过生日还要开心。所以当我们听到这些话，其实对我们来说都是一种鼓舞，特别大的鼓舞。因为我们遇到了困难，其实也会有一些灰心之类的，但是听了他们的这样的反馈我们会觉得会更有这个动力去把无障碍旅游这样的一个事业把它做好。而且我们每一个团线结束以后都会有一个服务的评估，然后是匿名的，你不需要填你是谁，然后你把你的感受我们好的你可以表扬，我们错的你可以批评，然后我们会做一些整改，因为我们把你当的是顾客，是上帝你可以就是说我们的服务是一定是这种非常的专业，而不是说去用同情心，我们其实或者是怜悯心，我们更多的是同理心，这个是我们旅行社的一个非常非常核心的一个东西。其实就是我之前说的，我们去做每一个线路，我们都会找就是视力障碍的伙伴，我们会把他召集起来，然后他需要怎样的旅游然后我们会讨论，然后再把它做出来，会从社群里面来获取这些资讯，而不是说我们想做成什么样就做成什么样。这也是我们在出团的时候给团友的一个温馨的小册子，这也是我们全部从0到1到100是我们自己做的，没有，其实整个大的市场是没有参考的东西给我们去参考所以我们做的会相对来说会慢一些，但是我相信一步一步一个脚印，把它做得特别的扎实。这些都是我们出团的这个小卡片我们在出团的时候也会做一些技能方面的交流或者是引导，就是我们会分享轮椅要怎么样的翘轮，这个斜坡 用什么方式更安全的可以通过。其实我们非常的鼓励自己推自己前进，我们不太希望就是说要别人一直去照顾去 care 这种东西，因为他能自己完成一件事情，他自己的自信心，他自己的快乐会产生。如果他一直是被帮助被呵护的，其实他不会很快乐，而且他觉得他是一个累赘，老是给别人添麻烦。那么我们在旅行当中会分享一些独立生活的这样的一个技巧，把它加入到旅游这样的一个好玩的行程里面。我们有短的1日游，也有长的去美国的15天这样的，然后我们也有5、6天，不同的价位、不同的时间、不同的这样的一个定位，让可以满足不同的一些人的需求。下一步我们就希望就是能对接更多的资源，然后我们其实也会有私人定制旅游，就是相对来说比较高端一些的他可能跟家人、跟朋友，或者是他自己，或者是他跟他的爱人做一个蜜月的私人定制然后都是无障碍的，都是没有问题的因为这样的话，有些人他可能不是就是说他有一些对他特别意义的日子。它可以做一些更高端一些的这种个性化的旅游的需求。这个就是我们的 logo， 对，一直会跳巴黎的这样一个小鸟。我们后面也会做一些文化的产品做一些然后也会发给参加我们旅游团的小伙伴，我们都会有纪念品。这个就是我的同事Heidi， 她是知更鸟创始人，她之前是在英国留学然后学的就是社会型企业管理，然后她回到中国，然后就创立了这家旅行社其实我们在注册的时候我们也遇到了一些困难，但是最后旅游局的一些领导他还是对我们特别的关注，因为是第一家，所以他有时还会回来我们这边拜访，所以这些我觉得整个大环境相信会越来越好，然后也期待带领更多的人出来去看看这个美好的世界因为我们觉得每个人都有出行的权利，每个人都能去抵达他想抵达的地方。谢谢大家。
Thank you so much, Peter. Now may I invite both Bosco and Shalini to join us for a panel discussion. So we have till 4:15. Before I start with the discussion, I just want to ask the audience, like, as an audience myself just now, I'm very touched by all the sharing by all three of them, and I felt like I myself should have done more to make Hong Kong a more inclusive place. And before we go on to the discussion, I just want to ask if there's some pressing things that you want to share about inclusiveness in Hong Kong, or something that you have been working on for inclusiveness in Hong Kong. Anyone from the audience? No? No, why don't we start the discussion and we'll go back to the floor. Our audience is a little bit shy today. So at the end of the day, this is a social enterprise summit. These three amazing individuals are running enterprises, no matter it's in an NGO format or a social enterprise summit, that they're working hard on these issues. And I think running an enterprise, I'm an social entrepreneur myself, and I know running an enterprise is never easy. And a lot of issues that we brought up today, we need a lot of funding to help do the research and also do the advocacy, hiring people to do the campaigns. I just want to ask the three of you, in terms of the two of you from Hong Kong and from mainland China, in terms of raising funding, what kind of difficulties you have kind of encountered? Are funders open to the concept of funding these kind of programs?
So that's a really interesting question. Recently, ethnic minorities has become a sexy area for funders. But having said that, I think there are a few obstacles. One is, I still think funders in Hong Kong, some of them are quite, they're not as sophisticated, and they're funding in that they would prefer not to fund research. They want to fund direct programming, but I believe life is so incredibly short, and if you're trying to improve people's lives, you've got to direct it very specifically. And so core to our mission, and I don't talk about that, is actually our research. And so we won't look at anything until we've researched it, because we really want to understand if there is a problem and what is the problem directly from the people. So I have had a few funders say to us, we won't fund the research, we will fund the programming, or can you give me a proposal for the program and just add the research on? But the issue is I can't tell you what the program should be until I've engaged, because I don't feel that would be right for the people. So that's the first thing. The second thing I think is, I think the government has funded us a little. We actually, for our project coming up, Opportunity Bank, we have quite a big grant from the SIE fund. But I have told this to them as well. It is a really difficult process if you are a small NGO. We don't have a full-time person whose only job is to write a funding proposal and do business development. So the process makes it increasingly hard for small NGOs. And a lot of the NGOs in this space, if you want the creativity, if you don't want the huge amounts of bureaucracy, you don't want the big, ginormous NGOs, the smaller ones, we don't have those funds for full-time business development people. But I have had 2 foundations say to me, we like what you do, but we will never fund ethnic minorities. Because, really we should be serving the Chinese of Hong Kong. And there's nothing I can say to that except for, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, we're also from Hong Kong. So those are the sorts of things we've had said. So funding is difficult, but by and large, I think I have been really surprised with the generosity shown by foundations in Hong Kong. Thanks.
Thank you, Shalini.
Thanks, Shalini. So for our case, we try to sustain our programs by running it as a social business. So most of the tours that I mentioned, community programs, we charge our customers, our participants. So basically the participants, they don't really pay for themselves, but their organizations would pay for them. For example, they're from schools, so that the schools will be paying for their expenses for joining the program, because they can see the values which can enhance their students' cultural sensitivity or the global awareness, that they can get in touch with people from different cultural and ethnic backgrounds. So there's actually a market value for this, plus social impacts. So that's the approach that we want to be continuing. But at the same time, because we also offer free training and some free programs, for example, like Chinese enhancement program for the primary and secondary ethnic minority children and students. So for those part, we have luckily got the support from different funders, because they can see the values that if they get well trained, they can have the opportunities to come to our business side to work, and then they can earn the experience, and finally they can exit to different companies and work for their futures and their dreams. So this is what we see the model, and this is how we also share with our funders and our customers. It's a bit hard at the beginning, but after several successful cases, we can see that they are really buying the concept, and then they are supporting us. But as we mentioned, we need a lot more supports, because we can see that definitely a lot of ethnic minorities mentioned, they still are looking for opportunities. They still are lacking of opportunities. So that is what we are looking for as well.
我问的问题就是说，怎么样去把那些资源方的人的资源能够把它带到你的那个社企里头。
其实这个问题是非常好的问题，然后刚才2位分享嘉宾也回答得非常好。然后知更鸟这边其实我们虽然现在有1年半的时间，但是我们已经做了天使轮，对，我们已经做了天使轮。然后我们必须有 full time 这样的员工来全职去做，才能做出这么多的好的产品。因为如果你找 part time job 是没有这么多精力，然后也没有这么多的 更专业的元素加进来，所以我们在天使轮的时候相对来说还是蛮顺利，因为国内其实大环境它现在都在转变，然后它对那个影响力的投资，然后它对一些社会上的议题会越来越关注，所以这方面的话，我们目前我们的财务状况还是非常良好因为其实我们是一个回笼资金非常快的一个产业，然后我们出了一个团，我们用10天时间报名或15天时间报名，然后我们的钱就可以收回来然后我们不是做这种或慈善这样，我们是要收费，你付了钱你就是上帝，然后我们的服务要跟得上对，所以但是我们在这个服务当中，我们是同理心，我们不会说因为你不方便，或者是因为你背景非常好，我们就对你特别 care， 不是这样的，我们是一样的待遇，对，所以而且是其实很多人觉得残障人士都很穷嘛，或者是没有钱去消费，没有钱去旅游嘛，其实这是一个误区。其实每一个社群它都是一个金字塔的形式，它都有一些不同的一些状况，所以我们目前来说看到的一些来参加团的，其实我刚才也说了，我们有高中低3个不同的 price 的价位，然后我们不同的产品满足不同的一些人的需求那么我们目前其实整个来说，对我们的 office 是大概是有200个平方，然后我们现在团队有12个全职的员工，其实也不算太小了，如果是这样的一个状况，所以我们后面也会去对接更多的去合作方。其实我们特别想把不同的因为我们自己也做不了那么大的一个市场，其实这个无障碍旅游市场非常的巨大，我们想对接不同的利益相关方，把大家串在一起，我们可以做更多的创新，更多的共融，然后让这个世界，我觉得是真正的去和谐美好。谢谢。
So the conclusion is social entrepreneurs need to make a living. So we definitely need more financial support for social enterprises that advocate for an inclusive society. And I really like what Shalini said. We shouldn't have funders that only fund ideas that are sexy. We shouldn't have funders that only fund programs. We need research, we need vision to really see how we make Hong Kong or China a more inclusive society. And I think all three of them share very good insights in terms of how we could actually shift the paradigm of funders and donors. The second question that I have for all three of you is that, like I said just now, I think Hong Kong's main paradigm, we're still very conservative in a way, like generations, my parents' generation, they might not be calling names for ethnic minorities or people in wheelchair in public. But deep down, I think they still have that kind of discrimination, to be very frank. What do you think we should do in terms of really changing how people see people of non-Chinese, people who are in wheelchair, how we could really kind of change the mainstream paradigm? And because I'm from education, so I'm a little bit selfish in here, should education play a role in terms of really changing the paradigm?
Yeah, so look, I think having been involved in the diversity dialogues of Hong Kong for too long, I think 20 years now, I would say the Hong Kong community has really changed. Okay, we have really changed in a positive way towards women. We are better. We're not perfect. We still have too many sexual harassment cases. We are actually better towards LGBT, okay, more inclusive. We still have a long way to go. And I hope we will get better with race, okay? So I'm optimistic. However, I think you need a two-pronged approach. The first prong you need is legislation, right? Legislation is the best way of saying this behavior is wrong. And it means that people like your parents, perhaps, the older generation in my family, they can think what they want. Legislation doesn't stop you thinking what you want. It stops you doing things. So what comes out of your mouth and how you provide goods and services to people, right? So you can't say to someone, you're an ugly Indian girl, get out of my shop, right? Or you can't say to, I've had this, you know, you're an Indian girl, you're not going to spend any money in my shop, leave. I've had, you cannot rent your apartment with my husband because we don't want the house to smell of curry, right? So I've had, so the law is really important. But the law has limited impact on the older generation, right? It takes 2 generations for the legal aspect, for the laws, I think, to have real change. What can have a quicker impact is education. But education isn't just in schools, it's about training the civil service. So in Carrie Lam's policy address in October this year, she said cultural sensitivity for civil service, right? Which is huge, because it's acknowledging, the first step is acknowledging there's a problem and then saying, we need to change it. But we also need companies to change. We need private sector to change. You know, we need the boards, the advertisements and the MTR to change. We need everyone in this room to change. When people talk about ethnic minorities, it's up to you then to say, you know what, they're just Hong Kong people. How long have you been in Hong Kong, your family? I met a woman today, her family's been here since 1911. Right? So it's up to you to be that agent of change, and you have to be brave enough and strong enough to take individual agency for that change.
Totally agree with Shalini about the top-down and bottom-up approach. Both would be very necessary. And for our approach, actually, we also take it to be a very visible approach for ethnic minorities to be seen in different places, not only about in our tours, but for example, our office is located in a youth square. So we encourage our youth to take poster for the youth square. So now when you look at the advertisement of youth square, you can see non-Chinese faces. And we encourage also the MTRC to do that soon. And we are talking with also the police force that they have doing a good job, of course, that they have hired non-Chinese citizens as policemen and policewomen. So we can see that the changes is doing a lot better from the bottom-up approach now, but the top-down approach still ongoing, which is, you know, like already a big step that the cultural sensitivity training is going to be implemented. So we hope to see in the future more top-down approach as well, because we are doing very, very hard for the bottom-up, and we hope to see a lot more for the top-down as well.
其实我非常同意刚才2位嘉宾的说法，要立法的，因为法律其实它是一个强制性的。那么另一方面，其实我们让残障人士或者少数族群他出来，能更多的去融入社会、回归社会，可能这个当中会有一些碰撞或者是有一些难免的不理解或者是歧视这样的东西。但是如果你越是害怕，越是不出来，其实他越是无法解开这一个环节。那么我们就是鼓励带着他们用旅游快乐的方式让他们多出来。其实除了一方面是外界的对你的这个认可跟包容，另一方面是他们自己内心的恐惧，还有他们的那个不自信。这也是我们通过旅游的方式想去改变的这样的一件事情。所以就是我举一个很简单的例子，有一个我们的报我们团的一个小伙子，他就20多岁，然后他用电动轮椅，然后呢衣来伸手饭来张口，在家里也不需要做什么。但是他跟我们团以后5天4晚，然后他看到比他年龄还要大的，然后也是推着轮椅的然后是非电动的，是要手推的这种，所以给他启发。他说：“哎，比我年龄大，然后他都能自己推，为什么我这么年轻，我还要用电动的？”所以他回去以后就换了一台手推的这样的轮椅，然后再锻炼身体。所以这些就是让他能对外界有一个认知，包括对他自己的这样一个认知。那我们通过这个方式也会让更大的外界，然后其实我们是一个点，然后辐射到周边。这样，包括其实我去到一个商家，因为我喜欢吃面 noodle，然后那个老板他就是有2个台阶，但是我每次都去他家吃，我每次都找他，他跟他的伙计抬我，他也觉得累也烦，然后他就修了一个坡道，然后他说，哎，我那天一去特别奇怪，哎，我说我没走错然后但是他修了一个坡道，其实后来 我跟他聊，他说，哎，你经常来，然后我修一个也不麻烦。其实这个我们是从下往上推的，那立法呢是从上往下推的。如果这2方面都打通，我相信大家都会活得特别开心。
I think all three of them share very valuable insights in terms of how each one of us can be an agent for change, for Hong Kong to be a more inclusive Hong Kong. And I feel strongly about that everyone has a role to play. And before I open the floor for the audience for questions, and I feel like everyone who have signed up for this forum must have some ideas or some thinking regarding making Hong Kong or making your community a more inclusive place. So I would like to ask all these 3 very bright and successful entrepreneurs in running your social enterprise that advocate for inclusiveness. Do you have any advice for people who want to start a social enterprise advocating for inclusiveness?
You know, I have always just set up organizations. So I would say if that's what you want to do, just go and do it. That's probably not the greatest advice, but I fundamentally believe that if you want to do something, just go and do it. I think you have to be very aware that in Hong Kong, which is an extraordinarily expensive city, it is expensive to run an organization, even if it is an NGO. I have 7 full-time staff. Thankfully, we have rent-free, but still, you know, salary is extraordinarily high in Hong Kong. The second thing I would say to you is be prepared to collaborate. And I think one of, again, central to us as an organization is research, collaborate, and action. And I think collaboration is the only way to go. And I would say the organizations that I have set up and run, my general approach is the problems we are dealing with are so huge. And it's better to have all of us talking together than just a small group of people talking in the corner. So share, talk as much as you can, learn from each other, give of yourself, give of the time, give of your research, because at the end, it's the person you're trying to help that is helped.
Great advice.
For us, maybe if you have something that you think that you have to do, there is something wrong that you think you can correct it with your power or with your team power, I think we can start as a small project first and to see whether we are in the right track. Because we always have to fine-tune ourselves. Just like where we started would be from a table at home, and then a table at school, and then a table at a co-working space, and then now an office. So basically we started to see whether our approach or our concept is the right track. Obviously it was not very correct, so we fine-tune ourselves, and then to across the river and look at different stones and try to step on it. So we try to fine-tune, and fine-tune. So the lean start approach would be a good...
This is a very sensible approach. So it's an approach I would really recommend. I have never done it this way, but I think it's a very sensible approach.
And then to collaborate, of course. So for us, we collaborate with different organizations because of our name, right? We collaborate, not just do it ourselves. And we also collaborate with different universities because they have more experts and they have more people to conduct the research, to support us, our programs, and our programs can also look at the findings to see whether we are doing it, in a correct way. So we also have to look at which partners we can collaborate and do it together in a bigger scale. So we are looking for collaboration as well, and we met actually 2 days ago to talk about collaboration already. So maybe in the future, if you're looking for the inclusive ideas, feel free to actually join us and discuss with us as well, because we welcome more collaborations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
其实我听了以后，我就想，我们3个人可以合作。对，其实他们经验都非常的宝贵因为其实我觉得我们社会型企业就是用商业的手段来解决社会的议题、社会的矛盾这样的一个模式，不是单纯的追求利润如果你是单纯的追求 money 或利润， 我劝你不要去做这个事情了啊，真的，而且其实创业都是疯子做的事情，这是一个真心话，因为如果你没有这个除了你要有勇气，还要有智谋，还要会合作，然后还要去兼顾不同的你的利益相关方的这样一个东西，包括还要融资因为现在每个行业都特别的饱和，那么你如何在这当中能做出你的特色跟特点然后而且你要有一个非常清晰的一个计划书不是说我想改变世界我就去做了，我换了个内裤我就去冲出去，我要改变世界，不是这样的，千万不要冲动，因为冲动是魔鬼但如果一旦你要开始了，你认定你的目标那么就给3个建议吧第一个坚持，第2个坚持，第3个坚持，谢谢。
Thank you so much. Can I open the floor for questions now? Any question from the audience? Our staff will handle either way.
Hello, my name is Pilo and I'm from Lipo Chan United World College. I have a question for Shalini. So Shalini, you talked about making the ethnic minorities in Hong Kong more visible. And you talked about the MTR ads and also the diversity lists. But I wanted to inquire about the extent to which that is effective. Like, does visibility always mean acceptance?
So that's a brilliant question, by the way, so thank you. There's been so much research. So one, we have heard it directly from the people. So when you look at the youth report that we did with 253 Hong Kong ethnic minorities, they talked about feeling invisible. They said, we are not here. We can't see ourselves anywhere here. And then they went on to say, so why do we stay here? And so that fed into, we want to leave Hong Kong. So so one, they said it themselves, right? So where are we? Does that mean they will be more accepted if they're more visible? I don't know, but I'd like to think it's the start of a journey. The other thing we know, and we know this from research, is role modeling is really important, which is why I think our second chairwoman of the Equal Opportunities Commission, Anna Wu, reviewed all the textbooks in Hong Kong. And when she reviewed the Hong Kong local textbooks, she found there was mass stereotyping of girls and boys, right? And girls were depicted as stay-at-home moms, depicted as nurses. They weren't depicted as the doctors going out to work. And she changed that. And now we have a whole generation later, of girls there are more girls going to university in Hong Kong than boys, right? So has it resulted in boys becoming more accepting of girls? They've got no choice. There are more girls at university. So I like to use that, and I think that visibility gives you a voice. It humanizes you. And when you don't see yourself, you begin to think you don't matter, and that results in a whole bunch of other problems. So I do think visibility over time leads to acceptance. I want to talk a little bit about diversity list. When in 2015 we started as an organization, we commissioned a piece of work called The Status of Ethnic Minorities in Hong Kong. This was done by an ethnic minority law professor at Hong Kong U, Pooja Kapai. And she put together all the research already done in Hong Kong between 1997 and 2014 that had ethnic minorities in it. So she put together all this research in one document, and she synthesized it. And what we found was there are problems everywhere. Employment and education and social welfare and housing and domestic violence, you name it. So I wrote to C.Y. Leung, who was the chief executive of Hong Kong, because I wanted to tell him we'd done this research. He didn't respond to me. So I wrote to Carrie Lam, who was the chief secretary, and I got a meeting with her. And in that meeting, I shared with her the research. But she asked me, so what would you do? And I said, with due respect, there are problems everywhere, which shows me that the government isn't speaking to the right people. So one of the things we created was Diversity List, because the government needs to speak to the right people to get the right solutions. So I think Diversity List, we have put forward 60 people in the last 3 years on diversity lists in the last 3 years, and the government has made over 21 appointments. So that means that the top people advising the government in transport, in youth, in poverty, in education, and now they include ethnic minorities. So the top advisors are seeing brown people differently because they're sitting on advisory committees where they're seeing people who are not Chinese. I think that leads to acceptance. I think visibility there leads to acceptance.
There's a question.
Thank you. Thank you for the panel for the very inspiring sharing and the discussion. So one thing I want to ask a question would be when you're sharing what you have done, one thing that comes up quite often will be like public misunderstanding, wrong perception, controversies, particularly when it comes to Ms. Zhang's sharing, like when you start business with focusing on disability, are you earning this money from capitalizing disabilities? In a way, before we can shift the paradigm, before we can make the change, there will be like this kind of public controversies that seems to be pulling your legs. So like, how would you handle this kind of like controversies of public opinions against like anything to do with the ethnic minorities or the disabilities?
So this is a general question for all three of you. Please chime in. Bosco, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So the question is about how we can actually in fact, I think for our programs, we can try to address what you mentioned, maybe the public controversy or the holdback. We need a bit of force. For example, the students or the young people, they will not participate in our programs if the schools, they don't force them to do. Just like what we learned from Singapore as well, because we have some youth programs bringing our youth to Singapore, we see pretty successful for their top-down approach, that they set racial quota for their housing. That you see in public housing, there will be certain ratio of Chinese, certain ratio of Malay, and certain ratio of Indian living together, and it's a must. So they have to be together. But in Hong Kong, it's too free, right? So you can choose not to live with your non-Chinese counterparts, or you choose not to participate in programs with non-Chinese. So there's a choice for you to make. So sometimes we are talking about inclusive society, no matter for ethnic inclusive or for ability inclusive, we need a little bit to force people to make goals together. Just like what Peter is doing, they are trying to make people travel together. Not only the disabilities people, but also people who are willing to travel together or not. That they have to be having a platform or the opportunity to actually collaborate and to actually join together. So this is what we see would be very important, that we collaborate with schools, with companies, because they will force their staff, they will force their students, and even for the public, maybe the government will force their staff to participate in the cultural sensitivity programs, which is a bit of the top-down approach of the force. So I think maybe this is a little bit help in terms of how to address the controversy.
I think there are two controversies that I can see. One is, and I think this is when you have a press like we do in Hong Kong, we have seen controversy when the press has mixed ethnic minorities with refugees. right? And that is just dumb, right? But it takes organizations, individuals to counter that and say, what's wrong with you, right? Refugees, they have rights, they deserve dignity, but they are not ethnic minorities of Hong Kong. How dare you compare me to a refugee? I don't compare him to a refugee. How dare you compare me to a refugee? I have a legal right to be in Hong Kong. A refugee is trying to establish a legal right to continue to live in Hong Kong. You know, I have paid tax my whole life, right? So do not allow stupid people to convince you. You are smart customers, consumers of the media. You know better. Don't let them deceive you. The second thing is when you start, I don't want Hong Kong Chinese people to be poor. I don't want Hong Kong Chinese people to suffer. I don't want anyone to suffer in Hong Kong. I work on ethnic minorities because they're a group of people in Hong Kong who are suffering and who are poor. But I am not saying don't look at the other poor, the Chinese poor. We have to help everybody who is poor. We have to help everyone who is suffering. I have chosen to use my expertise on this group, but I'm not saying the other groups are not important. And so in our language, I'm not trying. So a controversy I could see is I'm saying ethnic minorities are somehow more, they need more. I am not saying that. I am saying they have their unique problems. They have cultural issues, they have conflict issues, they have language issues, they're Hong Kong people, and I'm going to help them. But I'm not saying Hong Kong Chinese don't deserve to be helped.
Peter. 就你有什么经历过？有什么一些大众的反应是不好的？
其实我觉得嘴巴是长在别人的脸上的，这个是无法去控制的。然后你是要做你自己的，你的这个理念，然后呢，而且你是不忘初心，这个很重要。你不能做着做着变成了一个纯商业的一个机构或一个公司然后还有就是说我觉得你做什么事情都会有不同的因为大家可能站的角度或之类不一样，所以质疑我觉得是非常正常的。如果没有质疑，我会觉得好像不够刺激。对，我是一个特别喜欢就是说挑战，或者是我觉得如果我做这个事情，而且我们有一个非常基本的一个原则，就是我在做我的权利倡导或者是出行倡导，我不会把我的快乐建立在你的痛苦之上。这是一个非常核心的东西。我所争取的合理的权利，任何东西，我不会说剥夺了你的权利，来垫高我自己的高度，这个是绝对不会的。所以这个我觉得我们团队包括我们的理念是，我觉得是问心无愧的，是不需要去。其实你在就是回答一些质疑的时候，有些是不需要回答的，因为我觉得你只要做你该做的事情就够了。好多东西是不攻而破的，是不需要去争辩的。OK， 谢谢。
Given time is running short, I just want to thank our three amazing panelists. Just to wrap up the session for a little bit, I think you guys are all very smart professionals who have come to Social Enterprise Summit. I hope you are as inspired as I am and as touched by I am by the sharing by these three individuals. And I think I want everyone to bring home a thought that you guys can all be change makers to make Hong Kong a more inclusive Hong Kong. And I hope that today's session will be inspiring for you guys as well. Thank you.